Hi there everyone, this is Ashley with Marshflower Studio. In this video I am going to make one of my little googly-eyed monsters. It kind of resembles like a frog, a little bit. I just don't call them frogs because most of the frogs they make have the eyes attached to the body down here and little eyelids over top. So this one's the googly-eyed version. These little eyes can be purchased, lots of different places. I've gotten several different packs from Amazon in all kinds of different colors. The ones I'm using today I actually found at Michael's in their Halloween stuff. So there were several different packs. This pack had the white, the dark pink. Let's see, we had a light pink. And this pack also had a black. And then, because it's Halloween, and this is what you would expect more, they had glow-in-the-dark googly eyes. So I bought several packs of those as well. With these little guys, I usually use a blanket yarn, or the thicker chenille yarn. This is what I'm going to be using for our demo in the video. This is a number 6, super bulky, and they recommend an 8mm crochet hook. I typically go down a size or several, just because with the crochet, I like to make sure there's not any holes for the stuffing to show through. So I will be using a 7mm hook for these guys, but it is up to you. You can also use any yarn you would like to make these guys. Just keep in mind your eyes may become disproportionate to the size of your body if you go down to just like a worsted weight yarn. But it is completely up to you, and you could, swap out the eyes for something different. I know I've seen a lot of people lately with just the plain googly eye part without the little connector, just kind of gluing those to the fronts of things. So it's totally up to you. This is a project that I use a lot when I have extra leftover blanket yarn from other projects, because it doesn't take a lot. And they're very cute, and surprisingly, they do really well whenever I do markets or events, just because it's one of the lower priced items. They're colorful. They just kind of draw attention with their fun little eyes. So this is something I always try to kind of keep on hand when I'm doing those. So I've got this kind of purple one here. Let me see if I can find what color this was. This was one of the Burnett baby blanket frostings, and this was Lilac Lounge. This is light colored one here. I have one that is a variegated green, again, blanket yarn. This one is actually a big twist, and they're plush, and the color was variegated green. Go figure. Then I have another little finished guy over here, again with the glow-in-the-dark eyes, because that's just fun. And this one is one of the Loops and Threads chenille. Let's see. They don't do color names anymore. So this one, the color is CHP08. I wish they still did names. Okay, so you can kind of see some of the size difference here depending on the yarn brand that you're using or the yarn type that you're using. The chenille yarns work just fine. It gives you some choices as far as colors go. So I will be making the one for the video. again with this purple sunset color. Let me get some pulled out here to get started. And we are making a magic ring, and I'm going to leave, you know, a good 10, 12 inches of tail here, because the way that I finish mine, I use the beginning tail and the end where I cut off to tie a knot before I pull it back up through. But if you're not familiar or comfortable with the magic circle option, you can do a chain 2 and then just put your 6 single crochets into that second chain from your hook. So I'm going to make my magic circle, and because blanket yarn doesn't love magic circles, I always, like, you always end up with this starter tail kind of twisted around this middle loop. I always kind of pull it back out so that it's not wrapped around multiple times, and it makes it tightening the circle a lot easier. With your 6 single crochets that you're putting into your magic circle, you want these to be on the looser side, because we don't want to make them so tight that it makes it hard to pull this loop closed. I know a lot of people struggle with that, and I've seen some alternatives for making your magic circle out of worsted weight yarn and using your blanket yarn just to kind of start your 6 single crochets. Up to you. Just thought I'd mention that. But I'm going to do my 6 nice loose single crochets into my magic circle. And then, because it was nice and loose and not wrapped around, it closed nice and easy. All right, with our second row, this is where we're going to kind of insert our eyes as we crochet, because trying to get them suckers squeezed up in there after you're done is not really an option unless you crochet really loose. I'm going to use my white eyes for this one, so they kind of pop on this dark purple color. I'm going to do my first 2 single crochets, so we're doing 6 increases in this row. So 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. So I did my first 2. I'm going to take my eyes and kind of slide them over to where they're on that kind of little puckered up place where I made my last stitches. So they're out of the way for going into my next stitch. So I'm going to do my 3 and 4 right there. I'll do 5 and 6. Do 7 and 8. And then this part can be a little tricky because we need to get the other, we'll say half of our eyes onto this middle circle so that it's centered in the top of the head. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of go ahead and pull the rest of that circle through the middle of the eyes so that my next stitch for 9 and 10 is right here. And then I've got my eyes centered in the top of my head. So there's 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. All right, eyes attached. All right, for the next row, we're going to have a single crochet and increase. So we end up with 18 in this row. And I actually start with my increase. So there's 1 and 2, and then 3 by itself. Increase 4, 5, and then 6 by itself. I need more yarn. do our increase 7 and 8, and then 9, increase 10 and 11, and then 12 for increase 13, 14, and 15, and our increase 16, 17, and our last 18. Okay. For our next row, we're just doing 18 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right. Now the one thing I will say is you don't necessarily have to put the eyes in the stitches where I put them. Depending on if you want yours to be like up here in the very front of the magic circle, you would put them a little later and then kind of reconnect them sooner. That's up to you. For this next row, this is going to depend very largely on your tension, your stitches, whether you do over, under, and just your preference on where you want the little legs to go. So in this row, we're putting the front 2 middle legs on our little dude here. And then the row after, we're putting these little side back legs on. So in the first one, depending on where you end, right? I like to put my front legs kind of down in front of those eyes, just kind of straight down in front of them. So for this, my first leg, my little bobble stitch, puff stitch, whichever you like to do is easier for you, is 5 of the double crochets. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we pull through all of them. And then we're going to go and just single crochet around the back. This yarn kind of reminds me of like, so I mashed up some blueberries and blackberries together. Let's see. All right, I want my little second front leg to go right here. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pull through all of them and single crochet into the next. Okay. And then for our next row, we're going to be creating those back legs, the ones that are kind of on the sides. So these back here. So we've got the front 2 we just made. Now we're going to make these back 2 for the sides. So again, this is not like an exact count. You're just going to single crochet your way over to the side where you want that leg to go. I like to do mine where they're kind of straight down from the side of the eyes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pull through. And then again, we'll just single crochet over to where we want the other back leg to go. So that one's going to go right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull through. And then we'll single crochet kind of back around to the middle where our start would technically be. All right, so because we've passed these front legs, I'm going to pop them out. And then from here, we're just going to decrease until this thing is closed. A pretty good hole here. We'll pop out those last 2 legs there. We're going to stuff some fiberfill inside. Or you can use extra yarn, whatever you like to stuff inside. Sometimes this is a good way to get rid of some of those just random trimmings as well. All right, I'm going to do a couple more decreases here. Just to get this hole a little bit smaller. All right, my last one, I'm going to do a slip stitch. And then just cut enough to make it easy to tie a knot and feed it through. All right, so with all of my little creatures where we've been working in the round and we need to close them up, I'll take my yarn needle and we're just going to go to the next stitch over, go from the outside towards the inside just under that front loop and pull it through. And then we go to the next one and do the same thing all the way around. And then we're going to pull that closed. Makes a nice little finish there. I'm going to tie it with that little piece from where I started. And then we will pop that right back through the same hole that they're coming out of. All right. Nice clean bottom. Trim off our extra here. And there is our finished little critter. And depending on how you stuff him, you know, obviously where you put the legs will change up their looks. Broke. I hope you enjoy making these little guys. I do ask that you not type the pattern in the comments. It makes it so that people don't actually watch the video, and watching the video is where I get credits for my YouTube account. So when you post the pattern in the comments, it means nobody watches the video, therefore I don't get my credits towards how many views I get. So please don't do that. I know I have seen a couple other videos where someone has mentioned that in theirs, and I think a lot of people would agree it just is a little bit rude. So please don't do that. If you have not liked the video, please do that. If you like making these little guys, easy, simple pattern to follow. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that as well. That way you will get a notification whenever new videos are posted. There are a ridiculous number of videos that have already been posted on the channel, so you can go back and check through some of those. There's some really cool patterns, some real cool little creatures that you can make. Most of them are, you know, under 30 minutes, little critters, creations that you can make. Pretty much all of them are also very simple in terms of difficulty level. So I hope you enjoy making some of those. If there is something you would like to see made in a future video, pop that in the comments. I've tried to work on getting as many of those done as I could over the years that I've been doing these. So like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next video. Happy hooking!